streaming. And we're recording. All right, we're streaming, we're recording. It says excellent. I'm seeing a black screen, but that's okay because here we are. Welcome to the stream. This is a live deep dive with a little, not exactly a twist, but I wanted to try something different and bring in some actual use of the piano in question, the Maverick, by Native Instruments. First of all, an introduction to Native Instruments. If you don't know about Native Instruments, they are a company, music production software and hardware company, mainly specializing in virtual instruments, piano, strings, cinematic instruments, and also instruments for beat making, with both Machine and the accompanying expansion packs. Machine is, of course, Machine the software and Machine the hardware. It looks kind of like an MPC with two screens on it. And they are based out of Germany, Berlin, Germany, although they have offices in LA, California, USA, and also in Japan. Is it Tokyo, Japan? And other places as well. So they happen to be the company from which I purchased most of my virtual instruments, and as such, I feel somewhat qualified to talk about them. So that is what we are doing now. Okay. So to get things started off, I want to look at a time about a year ago when I was about a year ago, I was doing some production on a song, it's unique in the sense that I had the idea Friday morning, worked on it throughout the day, and then Saturday morning at church, I presented it for special music. And that is a pretty quick turnaround for a song. Most songs don't begin and end that quick. And the process from the idea to the full composition is usually not that fast. But in this case, it was maybe a one-off thing, but I used the Maverick in it, and I think it will be a fun exploration. So, without further ado, we're going to look at me using it, explore the song a little bit, and then we'll come back and do a deep dive into the many features of the Maverick. Probably my roughest intro, but here we go. All right. Get rid of me. Let me say really quickly, this is called musical layers because it's the idea of the different layers of the process. As you can see, composition, arrangement, and exploration. This one is composition because I'm composing a song. And then other times I focus on arrangement and sometimes exploration, which is pretty much what I do in a deep dive. Anyway, here we go. Okay, piano, because this is a piano bass. Something basic like, I usually use the Grander. Why don't I try the Maverick? Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I think I'll record this in. I'm a shortcut guy, so. Ooh, dear. That is going to cause some feedback. So what we're going to do is turn off the record monitoring, because I don't want to hear it. I can hear it with my ears, sort of. Okay. It has to be on for the piano. Otherwise you don't hear anything. So let us come over here. And over here, we'll call this original, right? Original. So I've turned on hardware monitoring, simply so that I can hear this as I record it. So here we go. Okay, now obviously this is inspiration. If the piano's slightly out of tune, so I can't use that one. However, there is an instrument that I want to use for some of these parts. Some say it is the oldest instrument. And by now you don't have to guess it because it's right in front of you. Okay, so this should be... Oops, which one am I? Oh, which is which? Okay. Choir, so known as choir, and up here, piano forte, piano. Okay, so this does not need to be recording anymore. Thank you. So let's see if we can do this. It unfortunately does not go that low, so let's see. I think our first problem is this massive reverb. So here we go. This is usually where I bring in expand, but I only wanted to do this note because they decided that the human voice can only go to the note of D. As inspiring as that is, I think that I want it to go just a little bit lower to a C. Okay, we'll worry about that later. Let's see if it'll record that part. I had forgotten about that mid section. That's a nice thing I'd like to do. Let's see. Very nice. Okay. Coolio. Okay, does it record? Yeah, it does. Okay. Okay. This is great. Okay. Boom! Just the C's. So those are some of the difficult passages. Now let's go this little handy trick called Save New Version of Project. We'll go and all those. And I'll just play with myself with the piano. So this was just my way of accelerating time a little bit. And this actually took, I want to say this is about an hour, and then a couple issues there, which we'll look at now. So editing the MIDI section. I just realized my piano was on the other side of the room than it is now. Because right now, it's, well, it's, there it is. All right. Yeah, it's off to the side there. Not that that's important. So I went through, fixed the MIDI up a bit, and it's interesting because this is not what I would have originally chosen as my piano for composing. I was pretty big into noir at the time. I still am. It's not like I'm not, but I've discovered that for this particular song, it just lended that, the Maverick lended that older sort of I was going to say older woody tone. I mean, all these pianos are made with wood, but it had a particular tone to it, which I liked. And that's the key with having multiple, if you're going to have multiple versions of an instrument, you want to, multiple instruments, pianos in your library, for example, because we're talking about pianos. The different colors and different tones for different moods, different expression, very important in my opinion. So, all right. So I won't play the whole thing. I'll release this later as its own video. Those that want to watch can watch, and those that are bored out of their minds will, anyway. Okay. Production is not a very glamorous process all the time, but that being said, this was a 1 day production. So here we are near the end. Well, that's better than it was. Oh, now we got to hear what that better was. Let's go back. There we go. We're getting to it now. Here we go. Well, that's better than it was. Okay, so we'll just have to come back later, get food, hopefully be able to think better. And that is that. Okay, so that was the process. That was the first part of the day, and then I came back and did another hour or so, and added some more instruments. That was just the first verse, by the way. So now that we've seen the Maverick in production a little bit, we're going to take a shocking look at my crowded screen real quick, and then I'm going to pop back over here. The Maverick in the flesh. In the flesh? It's not. Anyway, you get the idea. So immediately on the front panel of the Maverick, what we find when we first look at the Maverick, we see that it has three main sections, right? We have the tone, space, and anatomy. Tone does very much what these sections did. If you're familiar with my previous two deep dives into Una Corda and Noir, you can see that it does have the tone knob is pretty much the same as the tone section has the color knob, which we're familiar with already. So right now, by default, it's in the middle, and it sounds like this. Let's get a shot of the camera. Where are you going? Oh, there we go. All right. All right. Now, as we already know, or if this is your first time, the color knob changes the tone color or timbre from soft to hard by readjusting the sample mapping. Turning the color knob to the right will make the instrument sound harder and crisper, and turning it to the harder and crisper with more attack. Turning it to the left will make the instrument sound warmer, softer, and with less attack. Now, I tend to like the softer ones, but we'll try the hard ones right now, just for sake of example. Right, and we'll turn it all the way to the left. And if you couldn't tell from the very nice description, I like that they have the description down there, but you can tell from the soft and hard sections there. So here we go. Together with the tone section we have in the anatomy section, the dynamic range. Now we have the resonances here, so kind of like the other pianos, what it does, there's a description down there. It raises all the dampers at once when you press the sustain pedal. enabling all the strings to resonate sympathetically. This adds a much fuller and deeper sound to the note. The resonances knob adjusts the volume of these string resonances. So basically, if I may translate lightly, when you press down on the sustain pedal, there's a certain resonance the piano has that it doesn't have. Let me put this back to the middle here. That it doesn't have when you are playing without it. Press the sustain down. Get all that openness and sympathetic string. The strings are interacting with each other, let's say. Now, the dynamic range to the left expands, to the left compresses, to the right expands. So if we bring it back to the hard, this is what you might consider okay, so the right expands like a, so with that, I'm going to put it back to the middle again and keep hopping around. So there's a lot of range in there. If you compress it by turning it to the left, hard left for an example, I can play very lightly, but you're still getting the feeling of like, wow, I love the sound when it just opens up like that, but you're getting a narrower section of, I don't want to use the wrong word here, but samples? Yes. So it's still using all the velocity samples, so. But the range is compressed, so you don't have to play as hard for it to be loud. And then with that, as we crank to my favorite combination, crank the soft all the way to the left as well. Okay, so before I dig into these features a bit more, let's have a look at all the sections and then show how they kind of interact with each other. So we've already looked at the anatomy, the dynamic range and the resonances. Zero everything out real quick. All right. We also have the lid positioning, lid open, partially open, closed. Now these differences are slight. You can probably hear a difference when I open it up. It kind of goes right as it's switching the samples as it would sound with the lid open. If we go behind the curtain a little bit, push on this knob here, we have our equalizer. This is where they house the equalizer in the Maverick and in the other two pianos of the definitive piano collection, the Gentleman and the Grandeur. So we have our body, which are the mid frequencies, which can enhance the middle, the body of it. It says the air, these are the high frequencies, your clarity, your silkiness, top end, the bass, the low frequencies. And we have our tonal depth, which adds resonance for a deeper sound character. You have your transients, and that's for the sound, it's the attack and the sustain. We have our compressor section, and then our lower keys level, which we've learned raises and lowers the volume of the keys below middle C. Down here in the anatomy, we click on that. We have our overtones, and this adjusts the level of the overtone samples, which are already turned on. Where are they turned on? Oh, right here. this power button, or light. Overtones, our stereo image, we can make it wider. We can make it narrower. We can swap it. Then we have our velocity and our silent key and half pedal, repedal. Then we have the release samples, which are already turned on, which is great. That's the sound that it makes when releasing. When returning the hammers into the strings, it has that dying string sound. As it says here, when hitting a key, the damper leaves the string. When releasing a key, the damper comes down to the string again. The energy generated by a loudly vibrating piano string can't be stopped by the small felt damper right away, so the sound gradually dies away. This is a it's a reproduction of that. I think. This is rep. Yeah, that doesn't quite sound right. Anyway, I can't really make that window any bigger. So we'll have to stick with rep. And then we have our noises of the hammer, the damper, the pedal, the string. And we have our tuning. To A, select the basic pitch. Oh, and here we can select from, right now it's at 440. You can do from 436 to 444. And then as we close this section and see the beautiful picture of the Maverick, we go over here to see the space section, which has our reverb. We have our distance, our size, our amount of reverb, which is the amount of signal sent to the reverb unit, and also the volume of the reverb signal. And then our size is the size of the room, and their distance is the amount of pre-delay before the reverb starts. So basically your dry signal, and then we got your chamber hall. So let's put these together practically. I'm going back to our hard piano. And then we do this. All right. Coming back over. My favorite sound. Okay, but a little something's missing, so we're going to go back into our anatomy section of the piano. We're going to turn on all these resonances. So hammer is obviously the hammer noise. Okay. Mechanical noise that plays with the release samples. That's what we're turning on here. The damper is the sound of the dampers raising up and lowering down. And then we have the pedal noise and the string noise. So now, in some cases, these may be too loud. At this point, it's not really clear if they're... Now in my headphones I can hear the it's quite loud. So that might be a little bit distracting, and I think what we want to do in that case is to turn down, okay, this sound, if we isolate that sound by itself. Now, you can do whatever you want with these, but for me, it's a bit much. So I'm not going to make it too quiet. I'm going to bring it down about 10 dB. And this is just a guess at what sounds right with that. For this particular case, there are many use cases. There may be times when you want all your sounds super loud because you want, I don't know, this would be more like your cinematic scoring, like a fragile yet noisy piano sound. Okay, but this one, the string one, we don't want quite so loud, so I'm going to put that back down. Okay, so we have the pedal there. That's softer. Excuse me, I'm going to put the pedal right here. All right, dampers. Gotta have a little bit of that there. Okay, hammer. Okay, this is really one of the hammers. Okay, I don't hear that, so I'm gonna... You can hear that dying string sound, which is... wow. This elevates it from just a recording of each of the piano notes to being something that sort of lives and breathes in a sense. Okay, so right there. 22. I'm going to put it at 20. No, 18? For sake of example. And then our silent key. Now, let's test and see if the silent key, what this is supposed to do, is on an acoustic piano. When you press down very quietly, there will be no sound. So let's see what it does. Oh man, okay. Now, to show you, and I love this stuff. I know it's kind of with that feature turned off, we're going to press down. That's what you would expect to find on any keyboard. Now, we turn the silent key feature on. Nothing, right? And this is how it is on an acoustic piano. You can, and then I believe the sympathetic resonance is turned on. Let's find out. So let's try with these notes. I can hear it. It's not very strong. And that may be because there's another level of it. Or it could be that this being made earlier than either Una Corda or Noir doesn't have those samples readily available yet. It doesn't have them. All right. And if I find that it does, I'll update my my assessment here. So again, half pedal and re-pedal. If the sustain pedal is depressed during a note release, and the remaining sound sustains, the value of this control will not be saved with snapshots. Oh, okay. That's good to know. Continuous pedaling, half pedal, and this requires... It decides how far the dampers are lifted from the strings by controlling how far down you press the pedal. This affects the release time and amount of resonance For half pedaling, you need a special continuous sustain pedal. I'm not sure if mine is one. I think I've said that before, but yeah, it seems to be just on or off. All right. So that's that section, and here's the tuning. We can pull it down to 436 or up. We can move it over to, I was hoping to have 432. That's a nice one. 440, same notes. And we can move it all the way to 444. And these are slight changes, which work to their own great effect, I think. All right, I'll put it back to 440. And this is, again, this would be the tuning of A to 440 hertz. And that just sort of sets the tone for the rest of it. All right, that's the anatomy section. And, okay, here's the release volume. It's still at -6. We'll leave it there. I like how that sounds. Now, tone. We can turn on the equalizer, and we can extremely crank the air. Although, with it using only the softer samples, that may be harder to hear. Here we go. All right, and it's very compressed, so let's uncompress it. Let's bring it all the way down. Okay, that's the silkiness on top. I'm going to put it up to 4. Bring up the body. Oh, you hear that? This is with no reverb whatsoever. Just increasing the body. Now that may be a bit much, so we're actually going to bring that down to, now this time we'll do 3.5. All right, bass. All right, now that probably rattled some teeth. If you're in headphones. Let's bring it down. That's a lot. That's 20 dB. Man. -20. Sounds like it's on the radio. All right. We'll put the bass back to... Let's just put it at Let's put it at 1.8. All right, tonal depth. Can you tell I like my bass to be fuller, warmer? All right, let's put it all the way to resonant just to... And then natural. This is a really the character of this piano. It's very woody, organic feeling. Okay, I can hear the resonance added. We don't want quite that much, so we'll put it back to about where it was. Transient, so attack, right? So there'll be more attack now. And then sustain. As the sound takes longer to release in this case, so... And if I were to... No, I was holding down the sustain pedal, but let's do it again. Okay. Less attack, more sustain. The sound hangs on longer, but doesn't initiate the same way piano would. So there's that. Now, our level of the bass keys below middle C is we can, and this one has a nice little visual that shows you. So playing them, let's have them normal. All right. So below middle C. Now, we're going to set that level to maximum for effect. Kind of get louder as you go down lower. So let's put it to all the way to less. Now, even though you hear it getting softer, I'm not actually playing softer. It's just the way it's set up to do the volume. So we're gonna leave that. Let's raise it a little bit just for the fun. Now, we also have in here our compressor. And pop piano, our amount is set to 0 right now, so let's give it some more compression. I'm going to give it about 50%. I must not be pushing it very hard right now. Now, there are a number of different compressor types. You can see the curve here, or the way it compresses. Light glue, we have nice and easy. We have a tape, a parallel, wide tape limiter, and these can all be used to great effect right here inside of the instrument. You don't even have to get an external compressor plug-in. Although if you wanted to, you absolutely could. Let's try tape. Back to pop. Those tend to be a bit louder with the pop compressor. So... Now, I am noticing it's a little bit hard on the harsh side, so I'm actually going to soften it with a tone like this. Compressor pumping a bit to reduce that sound, so we're gonna crank that down a little bit to 32, right? 32%, just a number I've used before. Don't get hung up on the numbers. It really matters more what it sounds like than the percentage you have there. Now, let's go back to the anatomy. I did skip over the velocity curve, so see how this works here. That's a softer velocity. Let's go with harder. Right? And it gets harder. What does it say about harder? Okay, gives you access to the customizing the response of your keyboard and your way of playing. So gets harder quicker with that one. I'm gonna go to softer. Takes a little while before you get the sharpness of the piano coming out, and I generally tend to leave mine on linear because that's what I like with mine. And finally, now that we've been through tone and anatomy, we'll go over to the spaces section. We'll turn that on. All right. There's a little bit of reverb. You can hear the difference. This gives you the feel that you're sitting right in front of the piano. And then we add a little bit of space to it. And we can add more space. Now that tends to sound a bit fake when you do that because it's just too much. Unless, of course, you want it to sound that way, like a really distorted, spacey piano. Let's put it back down a bit. And here's the size of the room. So we can crank both of those. And that can be a great effect if you so choose. Now the distance is our pre-delay. So I'm going to crank it all the way and we'll see what that does here. Okay, so that has more of a dry sound before you hear the delay kick in. At least to my ears, that's what I'm hearing. All right, so we're going to keep the distance about there. Now, we have the option to do other rooms. This is a concert hall number 3. Chamber. It's a medium hall? Medium hall. So we could go to concert hall 1. Alright. Let's see if we have a tighter space like a chapel. Or that is a large chapel. A church. That's not a chapel. Church. Studio. Bright. Of course, I have maximum settings on everything here, so you're getting the most washed out spring reverb. It's an actual spring. Back in the day, they had an actual spring. If you get close to I shouldn't say a radiator, but a certain type of metal grill, it will have a sort of reverb in a sense, like one of these, like the spring reverb. Plate was a plate of metal. All right, what else we got? Piano rezzo. Okay, yeah, that's like being inside of your piano, kind of. Music club. Not as much tail, because those tend to have a little bit more absorption. I wouldn't know. It sounds like it to me. Just Taj Mahal. So. So, as you can see, you can play around with it to your heart's content, come up with different sounds, and this is just a touch of what you can do with it. Even with a very simple looking controls, there's a whole lot you can do, even just on the front panel and digging in just a little bit to these settings, which are, I'd say this is very user-friendly, and it's easy to get started. Now, before we go away from this, we don't want to overlook the presets that you have. We've been playing with the basic Maverick, and if you want to save your own presets, we can do this. So this is a basic Maverick. I will name this Jay's Crazy Taj Mahal. That's a long name. That's okay. I can live with a long name. All right, and that's saved. So now, and that goes into your user presets. Now, in the factory presets, we have basic Maverick, classical, compressed, and these are all different configurations of the settings which you see on the sides here. So if we go to, now in the song I used deep Maverick, and as you can see that immediately did put us in the church, and adjusted the size and amount, the anatomy, the resonance is here. The colors lean more towards soft. Let's see what it's doing in the tone. Okay, we got more body, not too much air, more to the resonance side. There's more sustain. Got a nice and easy compression, 10%. Our low keys are up just a little bit. Go to the anatomy. Okay, we got all the sounds on. This one is a little bit softer. Okay, 20, 25, 20, 20. All right. Now, if you are not so comfortable making changes yourself at first, the presets are a great place to start. And from looking at them, you can kind of get an idea of what different tweaks to these knobs and parameters do. So, for the song. All right, there it is, the Maverick, a brief look. We could look into more of the presets, but this is what you... It's a great instrument. It's not the most glamorous piano to start with, I would say, but it just feels real every time. Even now, as I sit in front of it with these settings, I feel like I'm sitting in front of an actual piano. And I just feel the sense of a very genuine, earthy, all these natural, all these ideas, these adjectives, that's the word here. I'm getting tired. That's what these adjectives come to mind, and it just has that authentic feel, which I think worked well for that song and could work well in other contexts. Now, as you saw, you could adjust it to be more of a it's pop piano. Here we go, compressed pop. All right, that's what it would sound like if it were chopped up, but I'm doing the chop. Anyway, the Maverick, a great piano, great for anything, really. But specifically for, I think for me, for these more emotional, not just more emotional, authentic, sitting right in front of the old piano type of feel. And I think that's what it does best. And it does it very well, in my opinion. So that's been our deep dive into the Maverick. If you want to see further with the song, which is called I Don't Know Yet, I'll be releasing that as its own video probably next week. And then we'll continue on exploring more of these pianos from Native Instruments, which I have in my library, which is always fun to go through. Thank you for joining me.